Right, welcome to the Profit Podcast, the Strength Collective, Johnny and Jamie. How's things, boys?
Yeah, good, mate. You?
We're all good, yeah. We're going to see how this turns out. We've got some technological difficulties at the beginning of this podcast, but I'm sure it'll all work out perfect.
Yeah, I think we're just about
Matt, go ahead, mate. Sorry, go on.
He's saying
something. Yeah, we started with just about technical difficulties.
Yeah, no, we're there now. We're there. We're in the room.
Right, we're in. Give us a couple of minutes and we'll get this smooth. So yeah, welcome to the podcast, boys. And Matt's with us as well, obviously. And we're going to be talking today about a bit of an update because I can't remember whether it was 12 months ago or a bit longer than that, but we had you on the podcast, Johnny, when you were just about to open the gym. I don't even think the doors had opened, if I remember right. Is that right?
I don't remember the date, but it was either just before we opened or like just after about a month or so when we didn't have a clue what was going on. Still don't, but time has passed.
A lot's happened in that time, but just for anybody who, first of all, anybody who's listening who hasn't heard that episode, go back and listen to it and it'll give this one more context as well. But just for anybody who's not heard of you boys, give us a bit of background on the Strength Collective and how it came to be.
So obviously me and Johnny worked at Profit for 6 years, worked alongside you guys as PTs in total fitness in a commercial gym environment, and became apparent after a number of years that we wanted to step away from the kind of commercial gym environment, and that there was definitely something missing from the area that we were working in terms of like a more independent community-based gym. So bit of a gap in the market where we were. Me, Johnny and Dana, our other business partner, had quite complementing styles that we were able to bring together as a team.
Yeah. It just started to make more and more sense, basically, that we, me and Jamie, so it was like perfect timing as we started working together. Sort of came up through the first couple of years of business together, developed very similar styles, similar interests, and like with Dana as well. And I think at the time when we were starting to not lose interest in the gym, but move away from like the commercial side of things, it just became possible for us to do our own thing. So we jumped all over it and just went for it because that was the only way that we're going to be able to have full control over the training environment, basically. I think that you guys can attest to that. It became more and more apparent as we came to the end of the like commercial position that we were in. It just became more apparent that we were going to have to jump ship and go in a different direction.
Yeah, and that's important to you boys, isn't it? That the environment that people come in and train in is controlled by you and is the best it can possibly be. And that's definitely, having seen what you've done over the last 12 months, I think that's really what you've created at the Strength Collective.
Yeah, we've got a really good really good community vibe. We've had a couple of like entire gym parties, nights out, which has got people talking and that wouldn't normally talk, and there is a really good sort of community atmosphere in there. No egos. Just wanted to build a place where it doesn't matter who you are, anybody of any level, any background can come and train to the best of your ability. Just pick the best kit, build the best environment, basically.
Yeah, I think as talking to someone the other day, it's like it is the gym that I wanted when I was a PT to train people in. Sorry, when I was PT in the last place. It's the place that I would have liked to train in when I was a member of the gym. And it was somewhere that I want my clients and like even like your family. It's the kind of place you want your family to have access to. Do you know what I mean? It's what you want. It's what you want other people to have. It's the embodiment of that, really.
Yeah, we spent a long time sort of traveling around especially towards the end of being at our last gym, looking at other gyms, there was a lot of other independent gyms, but we were driving like 30 minutes to an hour to get to them. So we just wanted to replicate and almost better that in our own area, which it's been pretty successful, to be honest. It's gone from strength to strength. Obviously, there's been a lot of learning over the last year. And we're where we need to be members wise, but we're still growing. So just trying to keep pushing.
Well, we got plenty of time to talk about this today. I think that's the main topic, really, is how long have you been open now, Jamie?
15 months.
15 months total?
Yeah, 15 months.
Yeah. You had to count it there. Yeah. So in that 15 months, what we really wanted to get you two on for is to go through how the hell that's been and some of the ups and downs. Because I do think last time we had Johnny on, I think the doors weren't open, and Matt reminded me before we hit record that I think it was in the back office where there was just a building site and Johnny with his laptop crouched.
I remember.
I was sat I think it was like a pile. It was something really I had my laptop on like a pile on my back maybe, and I was sat on some bricks or something like that. I can't remember. It's proper budge.
Those were the days.
Yeah.
So this is probably going to be for an audience of our audience is all mainly PTs in the first couple of years, really 2 or 3 years. I'd say mainly building the business up from the start. But a lot of them will have ambitions to be gym owners. So I think this will be a good episode for them to learn as much as possible about what that is actually like. So we'll try and narrow it down. And let's start with this for you, Johnny. What has been the surprises in being a gym owner?
I think one of the first surprises was how many surprises there was, because we planned well and there were still like constant surprises. Do you know what I mean? Like we didn't not plan it. We planned it really well, really meticulously, and it was still like it felt like we hadn't done any planning when we opened it. You know what I mean? It's just like constantly things come up and you think, okay, if I was going to do that again, I'd know that now. But there was there's no way of knowing it. Especially like we were very time sensitive to get open and get cracking on. With it, which was a good thing actually, because it really put the pressure on and actually made us like execute fast.
Yeah,
I think one of the first surprises was definitely how many surprises there was, and two, it was how well this isn't a surprise, but it's how much the groundwork that me and him have done over the past couple of years paid dividends when we opened like immediately. That's why we were so confident about opening it, is that we've done a lot of the things that we've been working on come into fruition when the doors opened, and it would have been a lot scarier and a lot less stable if we hadn't done those things. I think.
We opened with about 60 or 70 members before we'd even opened the doors.
Yeah, so that was like such a nice platform to build off, and it wasn't off the back of marketing or anything. It was just off the back of me and him doing work in the area, building rapport with people, and like just doing a genuinely good job with people.
I think that was huge, because the fact that we had members already allowed us to do things like take staff on, didn't it? So
yeah,
which would have been for the hours that the gym's open and for us guys PTing as well. If we hadn't been able to take someone on straight away, it would have, between the three of us, it would have been a crazy workload.
Yeah.
So,
which up until about a month away from the gym opening, we were actually going to do.
Yeah,
Perfectly willing to do it.
I think that's a really good point, though, is that you guys didn't just open a gym in a random area. You were already two of the most well-known and respected PTs in your postcode where you were. Yeah. So when you opened the doors, it wasn't like you didn't have a reputation, you didn't have a client base there already, which I think a lot of PT, not just PTs, but gym owners, I think they jump into it with none of that in place. And that can be pretty scary.
I probably, I mean, I'm quite a confident person, probably overly confident, think I can nail everything, get myself into some shit sometimes, but I don't think I would have gone for it if we didn't have that base of client clients and community. People saw those interactions from day one. So even if it was someone's first day at the Strength Collective, they'd see us, cracking on with members and, having a laugh and letting on to people. And so it was the completely normal behaviour from the first hour of it being open. In fact, the first person through the door was probably one of our clients, not one of my clients, one of his clients. But,
right.
Yeah, it would have been someone like that. Yeah,
straight through the door, cracked on, so that was the norm for random people coming in.
Yeah, it was a scary enough thing to do, but because we took our businesses, just moved them from where we were into the new environment, we had an income to start with, so it took a little bit of the pressure off, whereas if you didn't have that, I think you'd be struggling, to be honest, because obviously the gym isn't going to make money initially.
Yeah. I also think you'd have to market the hell out of it, and it's harder to set that tone in terms of the atmosphere because you've got completely new people coming in. There's no standard in terms of behavior or atmosphere that's going to be generated by your newcomers rather than like from us and from people that we knew, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think in terms of surprises as well, one of the other big ones, and like Johnny said, everything was planned like really meticulously. We did an in-depth business plan, which we had to do to get things going. One of the main things was just plan for how much money you think you need to spend, and then make it 10 times worse. Because it's never going to be anywhere near what you've got in your head. Like even little things that just crop up monthly that you need to pay for. And during the build as well, the cost just kept going up, didn't it? For different things. I mean, we saved ourselves a lot of money because we did everything outside the change rooms. We did ourselves. Like we painted it, we built a lot of it.
Yeah.
And we were lucky we had COVID to do that, really.
Yeah. And it was fun actually. Like it was good time. You know what I mean?
Some big 24-hour shifts, just covered in crap.
It's good fun.
But for people listening to this, you're laughing your heads off. Like while you're talking about this, you're laughing and smiling, and that's part of it. Is that you're doing something good, even though you're working 24 hours and you're covered in shit. Like
I think that was one of the best things we did.
Yeah,
it took the work back.
Yeah, it was so fun. But we had a running joke, and it still applies. Like everything costs $1 grand. Everything. Everything's minimum $1 grand.
So opening a gym's like having a wedding. When it's a cake, it's $1 grand.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
flowers,
£1,000.
Yeah.
You ask someone to do a tiny little sign for you, and they're like, grand.
That's good advice for gym owners. Everything's $1 grand.
Yeah. Don't tell them it's for a gym. Tell them it's for something else.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, the costs are huge, and not running costs, but you should know your running costs, and we did know our running costs, but you have to be very super. You have to have your business plan, and then you have to be able to. I mean, most months we completely redo it in some way. You almost redo the business plan every month because it's not going to be right. All you're doing is looking on paper and going, if it happens like this, does it work? Yes. If it happens like this, does it work? Yes. And then when you open it and something else happens,
and it doesn't happen like that.
Yeah, no, it doesn't happen like that. It still needs to work, so you have to continually adjust. We actually outgrew our business plan by a long way because I think this is probably something we did right. We had a very conservative business plan. So right, okay, if this doesn't go well, how long is it going to take for us to get there? How slow can it be? What's the minimum level of business that we can run at? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we actually outgrew that massively, which was great. But then our costs had outgrown our forecasted costs, so it all sort of balanced itself out, which was good. Because if we said, okay, we're going to have 200 members from week one, and we're only going to spend 500 quid a month, it would just pop straight away.
I'm going to ask this to you, Jamie. How have you two worked together, and what's kind of the roles that you've grown into? Did you anticipate what that was going to be, and has that changed along the way?
Yes, so obviously there's D as well. So we're lucky that we've had a team of 3, and we've also got Ash, who has been invaluable, and another member of staff, Rookin, as well, which has taken a lot of the workload off. But sometimes it's difficult, as people know, like me, Johnny, and D, best mates, but it's quite hard to go into business with your best mates and separate being mates and being businessmen and women as well. We work together well, and we have sort of all developed our own roles and taken things on. Dee does a lot of the admin side of stuff. Johnny is like Rain Man with numbers, so he's keeping track of a lot of numbers stuff, making sure that we're staying above water. I've taken charge of like maintenance, making sure the sort of customer experience in the gym's good, and it's working pretty well at the moment. We have a check-in every week where Johnny will relay the numbers. We talk about any issues, anything that we need to sort out, and we've had quite a busy few months because we're making changes to the gym as well. Changes to the membership system, new kit. So we've had quite a lot of work on over the last like 3-4 months. And it showed that it works, having your own like set roles. Because again, surprises wise, it's not just open the gym, pay for your stuff, and then it runs. It's like there's a lot behind the scenes that goes on.
And how have you kept that communication up then? You said you have like a weekly catch up, because that's something to be aware of, that you two, you're good mates, you always work together in a gym setting, but being business partners and having a third business partner and then staff, that's not easy to maintain relationships. And I think you boys have done that really well, or all 5 of you have done it really well by the sounds of it. What do you do communication wise? How do you keep that up?
We've done quite a few, like we've done team events. We've gone out and done days out and stuff like that. We went to Go 8, probably fallen off it a bit and need to do a few more. Yeah, it was scary.
Go up again. It's too high.
So we've made sure that we've been out for meals with the PTs that work in the gym. We've done things as a team. We've done things with the members. We've made sure, and I think we took that away from Profit, to be honest, is that we had a weekly point where it's a non-negotiable. We sit down, we go through everything that needs going through from the week, clear the air if it needs clearing. We've also had good communication with one of our investors, who's a pretty experienced businessman, well, very experienced. And he's helped us a lot. Obviously, because he's outside the sort of circle of just being mates, it's easy for him to look in and separate things a little bit. So that's been invaluable as well.
Definitely. I also think we do quite a good job of it, especially me and Jamie. Like we're always conscious to not try and talk about work too much when don't need to talk about work, because like we are mates first. I know that the business is very important, but like we were mates before this, and if it actually fell apart, we'd be mates afterwards. And just being able to separate that. So like me and Dana were quite bad at it. Just like everything would be work. Like even just WhatsApping each other, it'd just be work shit all the time. Work, business, work. This is, this needs doing, that needs doing. Where are we up to with this? And then just like just forget to be mates. It's like me and Jamie are pretty good at it, because like anyone who knows us, we know that we just chat shit up constantly. Which is absolute nonsense 99% of the time, which is really helpful. Do you know what I mean? Because like we don't just talk about work constantly, and then we've got those delegated times to touch base with each other, and because we've got these roles as well, like it's really nice to just touch in, see if anyone needs a hand with anything. People have got their jobs to do, and then just crack on the rest of the time. Enjoy working with your mates.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that because I think that's important. Like, you guys work very hard. We said about the 24-hour days and the time that you put into it. I guess I want people to hear that, but also that you don't have to take it serious all the time, or every single part of your life doesn't have to be that serious. Otherwise it becomes miserable and then you don't want to run it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And it sounds like, just from sitting back and listening, it sounds like you've done a great job of building that initial team and that culture and that in the gym. That sounds like that's gone really well. And obviously you've exceeded your expectations in terms of membership levels and that as well. So what other stuff do you think's driven that? What do you think's driven that growth as well as it's gone? I imagine that the culture is part of that, but is there any other stuff as well that you guys have done to sort of accelerate that?
I think the culture is the main part of that. We've thrived off of the sort of culture we've built within the gym. We've barely done any sort of marketing at all, and we've got to where we are pretty organically. We are about to start pushing the marketing more, but a lot of our members, or all of our members, have come from people that we know, or word of mouth, or we've been getting some really good feedback the last couple of weeks, haven't we?
Yeah, like Donna said yesterday about what was she in the hairdressers? In the
hairdressers, yeah, just someone was talking about the gym, saying they go to Pure Gym, and then this woman stepped in and said, "Oh, you don't want to go there. You want to go down the street, the Strength Collective. It's amazing. I love it in there." Yeah, and it was a bit about sort of trying to break the mold of the name of the gym as well, because we wanted the gym to reflect us, so we weren't going to call it Planet Fitness or something like that, if you like.
That's the worst example. No disrespect to Planet Fitness, because I'm sure there's one out
exactly, there. But something that didn't.
Is it not that purple gym?
It's the purple gym in America. I just didn't know what else to say. But we wanted the gym to still reflect us. But obviously, some people would look at it and think that's a bit hardcore. You know, all the kit's black. It's quite dark in there. But yeah, we've got a lot of people that come in and train who are sort of 60 to 70 years old. They're still smashing it. They love it in there. They've come to our 1 year party. They've come to our Christmas party. So it's just been completely about building that culture and spreading the word about how good the gym is, that we've got the best kit in the area, that we've got the best coaches.
Can I ask you about that? Because I know we put down maybe to chat about any mistakes today. I know you changed some of the kit recently. You spent quite a lot you invested again and changed the kit. Do you think you got the look and the feel of the gym pretty right apart from that? What would you look back on that and think, Johnny?
I love how it looks. I think people love how it looks. I think it completely reflects us. And we're probably lucky that the way that it looks is quite stylish now. With the for anyone who doesn't know what it looks like, it's quite dark. We've got a dark grey paint everywhere. We've got exposed brick. All of the kit is black and metallic black. So it's really cool looking. And it's that it's, what do we call it? Upmarket industrial look.
Yeah.
Because we didn't want it to be spinning sawdust, because we didn't want people to go, "Oh, that's a bit rough for me." Actually,
you can't plant that on Altrincham High Street, can you?
Yeah, exactly. You can't afford to run that on Altrincham High Street, but also you're going to cut people off from having an authentic training experience. So there's a lot of people out there who've been turned off from gyms because of the look of them, and they've actually missed out on what we are passionate about, which is people getting into really good training. That's the basis of it. Of all of it is that people need to come in the doors and experience what great training is.
I think you nailed it with that look. I think the sharpness of it is very cool, very kind of modern and very nice, very clean. But it's a gym. It's a really well equipped gym for exactly. Really kind of intense training experiences. So it skirts that line of being not a health club, do you know what I mean? Like a kind of country club type place, but it's just it's that kind of finish to it, very high end, very high class.
Yeah, it is. And we've definitely, I think that's something we have done really, really well. Again, with what I've said before, is the gym's called the Strength Collective. It's quite a bold name. The colours are dark. It's a pretty sort of targeted visual design in there.
Yeah.
But we've sort of, and we've had people come in and think, "Oh, it's quite hard edged." They've signed up, they've loved it. So, and they've gone and they've put their word of mouth about it, and someone else has come in. So we have done really well between the well, 5 of us really to sort of.
It probably started with us as coaches, didn't it? Because like the way
Yeah.
that we like to train was like hard. We like training hard. We
Yeah.
have done from like early doors. It's probably why we've like migrated towards each other, because we used to just brutalize each other in the gym. But like we're always having fun with it, and making sure that we're touching different demographics with that training. Like we have a really wide range of clients, but we train them all in a similar style. No one gets away without training hard. Do you know what I mean? And that's not like we're not boosting people, but it's because that's where the benefits come from, like taking yourself to places you haven't been able to get to performance-wise before. Whether
I think
that's
you nailed it when we did that seminar. I think you came out and said nobody in the world doesn't benefit from being as strong as they can be.
yeah.
So it's sort of making people realize that it's not just for strong people to go and train, it's for everybody. Everybody needs to be strong.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. Taking yourself from very good to elite level strength is good for you. It's up to a point, I guess, but also like taking our clients whose deadlift max is 40 because they're taking the pension and taking that to 50 or 60 and driving up their movement capacity and stuff like that. Those are difficult things, but they've all got benefits for everyone. That's why we're big on it. You know what I mean? So we want people to come into the gym and use the tools that we have to improve their lives, because because we started as coaches, didn't we? We didn't start like working as as fitness instructors or as on reception or whatever. We started coaching, and that was the like driving ethos behind everything. That's why we're a performance-based gym. We want our members to come in and get better, not just come in.
Yeah, you start with that very strong philosophy, and you're building a culture of that. So what have been the mistakes? Got 15 months worth of mistakes, so just pick your top 2 or 3.
I think the biggest one that stands out for me, mistakes wise, I guess it's just a small error of what we actually wanted to start with. And I've mentioned this to you before, Campy, in mentoring, is how we had it set up at first. With the layout, probably wasn't the best that it could have been. We put the gate too far back and took up too much space. It was useless at the front, because we were thinking, we might put a coffee shop in, we might do this, we might do that. But in hindsight, we were aiming a little bit too far. So we actually, in recent months, have brought the gate further forward and given ourselves a lot more gym floor space, which has opened up other opportunities. So yeah, the biggest one for me was sort of the layout and just how we could have utilized that a bit better to start with.
Yeah, I think that was, it's okay to make mistakes that are rectifiable. I can't remember, I was reading something about this. Have you seen this, where whenever you make a decision, if it's something that can be undone, make it quickly so you can crack on. And if you're wrong, just backtrack and just go ahead. Where if it's something that you cannot change, then that should be something that you spend more time on. So a lot of the mistakes that we make were just things that we had to move backwards with. So like with the gates can be moved. So we made the decision, turned out to be the wrong one, didn't it? Sorted that out and improved the business because of it. So there's a lot of those little mistakes, or just things that you would change if you did it again. And then I think for me, probably one of the mistakes was we didn't. Whenever a problem comes up, sometimes it can go back to like a lack of framework. So like we've not said what happens when this happens, which we should have done. Yeah, because we wouldn't even be having this discussion now if we'd said that if this happened, this would be how we reacted to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you can just spend forever and ever planning for those scenarios. So I don't think, I think that is a mistake, but it's not one that if I went back, I would spend hundreds and hundreds of hours rectifying. It's funny. It's like one of those things that you sort of accept that you might run into it, and then when you do run into it, you'll go, I'll sort it out now, but I probably should have sorted it back then.
It's a little bit like the membership side of things, isn't it? We dived straight in with a membership software and a membership company because we were in a rush to get things done.
Yeah.
We're now changing over to another one, retrofitting the entrance system, which is quite a lot of work now.
Yeah.
When if we'd shopped around a bit more in the first place, we could quite easily have found the option that we've got now, which is definitely a lot more suited to the gym and a lot more smooth running. So yeah, I think if we'd have had more time, if there was more things we could have looked at to make things run a little bit smoother.
Yeah, there's lots of mistakes that we could have made that we haven't as well, like things that just weren't right for the image of the business, or that like weren't going to be authentic to us, like we've said no to, and I'm like really happy with that, because it's not always easy to say no to stuff. We've always had that, is this in line with us, and if it isn't, then we'll say no.
That goes back to the branding again as well, doesn't it? Like a lot of people at the beginning asked us questions like, do you think that's sort of going to attract people in, that like harder edged sort of vibe, and also the name as well. A lot of people questioned the name at first, and we were absolutely adamant, stuck by it. We decided the name years before we opened the gym, didn't we, pretty much? And stuck with it the whole time, even when people were like questioning it. And
I mean, we had like to put that into perspective, we had like £50,000 on the line at one point, and someone was questioning these things, and it didn't even cross our minds to entertain it. We're just like, no, this is the idea, or this is what we bought in to do, and that's essentially it. Not like massively stubborn, but like you have to, like, it is a very authentic thing for all three of us, very like organic. So, and people can smell it a mile off when if something's not authentic. So you just got to stick to your guns, really.
Yeah, it sounds like your decision-making muscles have been strengthened, if anything, over the last 15 months, which sometimes being in the environment and getting knockbacks and getting things wrong, that can sometimes send people over the edge. But it sounds like it's actually strengthened for you boys. And I know from the changes, working with you two and the changes you're making recently, you haven't hesitated at all. You've just gone, right, we need to change it. Let's change it now, and gone for it. So is it just like strength of having a team and being together on this, or is it individual things you're doing to strengthen those decision-making muscles, or is it just like we've got to do it? How has that got stronger?
All of it, isn't it? We've got a mint like framework. Pressure helps. Pressure's massive.
Pressure's good, right? Yeah, and people don't think that sometimes. Pressure's good. Yeah.
But individually, everyone brings their own thing to the team. We complement each other quite well. Like I said, we were quite selective about the people we took on, coaches wise and staff wise. So we've kept the integrity of the sort of team really, really well, which has made things a lot easier.
Yeah, we could have made easy decisions that were bad for the team, but good for other things, and we never entertained them. And I think our decision making been really good. I'm really proud of it, actually, because it's not easy. Like, I've not been very assertive in the past, and I think I've become more and more assertive with not like with like saying how to do it, but I mean it just in terms of my own decision making and what I can take a look at something and make a better decision now, and we'll roll with it because there's three of us. So like we have little rules like massive decisions that can change the course of the company will be unanimous on, and everything else is a 2-to-1. If you get outvoted, you get outvoted, and if it's a mistake, you get to brag later down the line. You know what I mean? And if not, jump on. So the three works really well actually in that scenario, because whereas if it was just me and him and we disagreed, we'd like, what do you know?
Just fight until we get a decision.
Yeah, exactly.
True. Yeah. I've been in both of those positions, it's true.
Something I think would be really interesting for the listeners to hear, especially those that want to get to where you guys are at some point, is now that you're up and running, now that you've been doing this for 15 months, what does a day in the life of you two actually look like now? What does it look like to be the owner of a gym? What does it look like in terms of how do you think about dividing your time between making sure the gym's moving forwards and looking after your own clients and staff and growth and money, and like try and give us a bit of an insight as to what that looks like day to day?
I think something that sort of complemented the way things would run straight away is before we even started, Johnny, like in Total Fitness, I'd come in at 6 a.m, bang 7 or 8 sessions out and I'd be finished. Johnny would turn up at 2 p.m, bang 7 or 8 sessions out and go home. So straight away, like organically, it was like, he doesn't want to be there at 6 a.m. I don't want to be there at 10 p.m. Donna's happy to do a little bit of both because she lives closer than us. So we did have and we do have a good system in place for sort of, we can work our hours around when the gym needs to be open in terms of PTs, so we're still making a living. And we also do have time to stay on top of the amount of admin there is.
Yeah, some of that is like if you do want to open a gym, like the chances are you're gonna have to do everything at first. I'll be willing to me and Jamie had gone through the process of when you start as a self-employed person working like every hour under the sun, and then you get to a place of like relative comfort where you've got a solid client base and you can work a diary, any diary essentially. Me and him are still working pretty hard. Being finished by 1 or 2 p.m. isn't easy. It means you're up at 4:30 and you've got work all morning, and then we train, so you have to train. And like for me, like the opposite was true. It looked cool to come in the afternoon and do work, but you might get up in the morning, do your admin, and then come in and train, and then do your clients, get home at midnight. So it's like an illusion, basically, of comfort. But even from that standpoint, then when you want to open your own thing, you have to be willing to go back to that day one and just go back to doing everything. You're the cleaner, you open the gym, your caretaker, your receptionist, you're trying to earn your living through your clients as well. So you've got to be willing to do that, because how much extra would it cost if we didn't want to do that? Like for business, it probably cost another, let's say easily another 50,000 a year to staff it. Yeah.
Big grand.
Everything's a grand.
Yeah. And I suppose as well, like for you guys doing all that early on, I think that's probably part of why you've been able to build that culture as well. The fact that you're willing to do any of the roles, sorts of sets a tone, and then when you've done those roles yourself, it's easy then to sort of teach that standard to other people, isn't it? If you're going to bring other people in to take over, the standard has been set at that point. You've set the standard. You know what it looks like. You know what it takes. You can teach it.
Yeah, exactly.
Initially when we first opened, we literally wanted to be there all the time. Anyway, there was a point where we were, for the first couple of months, we were in there 7 days a week, weren't we? We'd all do a bit. We just turn up on a Sunday because we wanted to be there. Me and him would and Dana would be there all day. Saturday 6 till close. Sometimes we didn't even need to be honest, but we wanted to be there. So, but obviously you can only do that for so long before you crash and burn.
Yeah.
So that's where it was good having Ashley and from the start and Rookin shortly after to take some of the load off, as it did start to get to be a lot.
Yeah, and also it's quite a bit of a hard dynamic, but trying to when Jamie's working, I don't want to work, if that makes sense. Not in a lazy way, but and when I'm working, I don't want him to work, because we value each other's free time and energy, because we both burned out before. I burned out massively, when I was PT.
The world's worst man flu for about 4 weeks.
Even worse. And also when it comes down to delegating, it's tempting to want to help with each other's stuff, but it's actually better if we can just crack on with our own stuff, because it saves the other person having to worry about your shit.
I think as well, two massive things is both me and Johnny in particular, out of the three of us, have got sport-based habits. He loves boxing, puts a lot of training into that. I love my rugby, which is 2 nights a week and a Saturday, and we've not really had to compromise. And that's something I think you need to look at if you've got a lot of other stuff going on in your life and you do want to open it. Is obviously you are going to have to make sacrifices, but sort of keeping some things that you've done your whole life and you enjoy doing is a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
So we've made sure that all of us can keep doing the things that we love doing outside of it, because it does start to take up a lot of your time and a lot of your life.
Yeah. I want to ask you boys one last question, because I'm fully aware here we've been going along with no technological issues and I can smell one coming. So I think we've gotten away with it for 45 minutes. And
it'll be my data that runs out in a second.
One of Campy's kids will chew through the wires or something.
I want to ask one more question. 15 months in, what's the next thing that's on the list for you boys?
But I think we've spent a lot of time getting this to where we want it to be. We're nearly there. Like, we've got a bit of work happening this week, a couple of different bits of kit changing, and then we're pretty much there with the gym, aren't we? We've got, obviously, one of the main things in the fitness industry at the moment is group-based stuff, classes, and we've got a little bit of room to do that, but not massive. So I think possibly a little further down the line, it'll be looking at another unit, bigger, that we can go for more of a branch off into some group-based stuff, like some strength and conditioning stuff with teams, things like that. That's definitely where I want to go anyway. But we always want to sort of keep the Strength Collective Altrincham as the sort of the base and the main driving force behind all of it.
I think it's interesting because the breath is really exciting but really scary bit now, where like we can start to the next step might well be a step back, so that we can actually start to grow and diversify. But because we're getting to the point now where, you know, the next, let's say, I don't know, the next 100 memberships that we add to the gym aren't just paying the bills and things like that, not just paying for the business. It's capital that can be used to really grow the business, or vice versa, it can be used for us to take a little step back. I think that's when the magic's going to happen, really, because we'll have time, because we're all busy at the minute, not too busy, but like we're all busy in it. But
we're all still maintaining full diaries,
yeah,
aren't we? Like
every couple hours that we can fire back, I think when we go eyes on with businesses and we really try and grow it will be valuable. So yeah, I definitely see us expanding. I'd love to see the brand take on more of a position in the industry in terms of what it means, because I think we've got a really good message.
Yeah, I think that's a big one I didn't touch on, is like the branding. We've got a really good brand. Yeah, the logo's good, everything like that. A strong message. I think we'd like to grow the brand as well, as not just in terms of like being in a gym environment. You know, we've got some clothing ideas and some online type stuff that we'd like to push, and just getting the brand recognized further than just in the gym.
Yeah, I think we've got really relatable business, if that makes sense. I think people relate pretty hard to our message, so that's going to be a real advantage to us when we start to push out, is because it's not like here's this random gym with like a cool, come and buy our cool trackies or whatever. Got a real message that people don't take very long to buy into as soon as they look under the surface and go, actually, I really like this, really like these guys. So you know,
yeah.
it's gonna,
Yeah, I agree. I think the brand's really strong. I think it'll be exciting to see what he's do next, and it could be, you know, multiple different things by the sounds of it. Boys, it's been really, really good to get a catch up today on the gym and how everything's going. And I think there's, you know, definitely things in there that I hope people take away from today, especially the one about making decisions and having conviction and courage with those and changing them often if you need to. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I really think that's something that more people should listen to. For people who don't know where you are or where to come and try the gym, even, where do they find you? Where can they find you on social media? And is there something where they can try the gym?
So is on social media, it's at _strength_collective, is it?
Yeah.
So yeah, come and give us a follow on there. Come down and try us out. We do day passes.
We're not strangers to giving away a freebie as well. Now
No,
and then
we'll
when
give away a
people
freebie
get
if we know the
excited.
face.
So, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
just
we're
as long
right
as
in the
they
middle
as long as they mention the ProFit podcast, they can have a little freebie.
Yeah, I think so. And then they'll get the hard sell on the way out.
I think one other point actually before, just on what you said then about the decision making and the conviction, is going right back to the start. Is obviously we over time got the funding behind us to do it through relationships we built, but at first we didn't. If you are thinking about doing something like this, didn't really have anything to start with, so we literally went and looked at a unit, looked at the kit we wanted before we had any money, before we had any idea how we're going to do it, because otherwise it just stays sort of a thought rather than.
Yeah.
We went and looked at a unit, started talking about leases, and we were like, right, well, this is happening. How do we move on from it? Because you could sit and think about it for ages and never do it. Whereas we just went right
by analysis, especially when money's involved. It's scary money. Like we wouldn't have been able to dream of having it.
No.
So
it was a gamble at first.
Yeah, exactly. But we just put it out there, manifested it.
I was talking to somebody about that this morning, just to finish. Like manifestation and visualization, I think they are valuable steps. But then you've got to start doing something. Like you guys obviously had the vision for where you wanted to go, but then you actually started doing stuff. You actually started going and viewing the units and almost making it real, putting things in your diary.
Like we're talking about.
Yeah.
It was real pressure to get it done because we've been telling people about it and then we're just going to come off looking like they're idiots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, the relationships with other people as well. Like we had other people, because we went and looked at it, because we had this vision and we were really clear about it. We had other people who believed in us enough to be like, okay, they're prepared to go and take a shot, and they're sort of taking it with us, and it's paid off so far.
Yeah. I think there's something in. I'm glad you mentioned that at the end, because I think that's huge for people to listen to as well. Have a vision, but also take action to draw that vision nearer, and things will start to happen for you. Yeah, things will start to happen for you. Funding will start to make itself appear, and
exactly.
Then you can get action, then you can get further forwards on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
I think we're going to wrap up today, boys. Thanks for that. That was awesome, and I think maybe we'll have you back on in another 12 months time, 15 months time, when you've got 3, 4, 5 gyms, clothing lines, all sorts going on.
Taking over the world.
I'll be on the super yacht.
Right, the world's best Wi-Fi, there'll be no issues.
Yeah, maybe some better Wi-Fi in the gym. All right, see you soon.
Thanks a lot, mate.
Cheers.
Bye, guys.
Cheers, lads. See you later.
Doesn't matter, does it?
Hello and welcome back to the ProFit podcast. I am one of your hosts, Matt Robinson, and I am joined today by Paul Campit, as always. How are you doing, Paul?
Hi. Yeah, good, everyone. Hope everyone's good out there.
And today we've got another couple of guests on. It's always interesting when there's 4 of us on the call, isn't it, Paul? It's a bit of jumping all over each other in terms of audio and stuff. But we have Johnny and Jamie on from the Strength Collective. We featured the Strength Collective before. We had Johnny on just before it was opening, or maybe just after. We couldn't quite determine what time it was that they were last on, but they've been in business 15 months now, so we wanted to get them back on as a follow-up episode to get some of like the real insight into what it's like running your own facility, growing a successful gym, and attracting members and stuff like that. So we had a good conversation with them, didn't we, Paul?
Yeah, the episode was originally planned, I think, for people who are thinking about running their own gym. But I actually think there was a lot of things in there just in general. And you can hear there's certain things that these two are doing. They've obviously had a very good first 15 months, as you'll hear in the episode. But there's behaviors that they exhibit and a way that they work that, whether you're running a gym or whether you're running a PT business or anything, to be honest, if you do what they're talking about, you'll be very successful.
Yep. So listen in. We hope the audio's okay, because it was a bit hit and miss as we were recording, but fingers crossed. And as always, if you enjoy this episode, please make sure that you give the Strength Collective, those guys, give them a like, tag them in a screenshot of the episode, just to let them know that you've took something from it. And without further ado, let's jump in.
Enjoy.